Miss Laura Keeley from the Raleigh News and Observer. So thanks for joining us this afternoon, Miss Keeley. We appreciate you being on, and tell us a little bit about what you do for the News and Observer in Raleigh.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, first of all. And I cover Duke football and basketball, home and away games. So, now's a pretty busy time. And, for tomorrow, I'll be traveling over to Winston-Salem to watch Duke play Wake Forest.
It's pretty remarkable what Duke has done this year. They cracked the top 8 AP top 25. I don't believe – did they make the BCS?
No, I think they're just outside the BCS.
But 8-2, just talk about this incredible season. And are people pumped up about Duke football now? I mean, have they been selling more seats and hopefully, selling out the stadium?
Yeah, the student turnout for the last 2 home games against NC State and Miami was really solid. It was full. People rushed the field after they beat Miami last weekend, and yeah, everyone's excited. There's a buzz around campus. It's been a really long time since Duke football has been relevant, so I think everyone's excited to see it coming back so strong this year.
Exactly. I mean, the job that David Cutcliffe has done is unbelievable. I mean, he was a great coach at Tennessee, and just talk about the job that he's done there. I mean, I've been reading a couple articles this week, talking about, he believed they could do it. And the guy, I think at Media Days or something, said they would win the Coastal, and everybody kind of laughed at him. But look at him, he's actually right. Look, he's laughing at the writers now, isn't he?
Yeah, when David Cutcliffe and his staff first got to Duke in January of 2008, it was, pretty clear it was one of the worst, if not the worst, football program in, the FBS. And it started then when he had that group lose a collective 597 pounds to get in shape. And it's really been a year-by-year building process. And, this year they have probably more talent than most people realize. It's a lot of unheralded athletes who are pretty good. And they did think that they had a chance to make some noise this year. And no, nobody else believed that. And, Duke was picked to finish last in the Coastal Division. But turns out they were right, and, they've stayed healthy, and the guys have played well. 3 true freshmen are playing really well in the secondary, and, that all adds up to being 8-2.
Yes, ma'am, and myself, I grew up a Duke basketball fan, but all my family's from North Carolina, so, I had a say in that rivalry, and now I'm a Clemson student, but Duke is just playing great football now, so just elaborate on that relationship with the athletic department, usually being really heavily supportive of the basketball program just because it's been so great for the past few decades. Just how the basketball team and the football team have worked together really to get this athletic department just somewhere where I don't think it's ever been before.
Yeah, the football guys have always been really supportive of the basketball program. It's obviously set the gold standard pretty much everywhere as far as sustained long-term success. But, this year the football guys have been going to the games. I know Mike Krzyzewski goes when he's in town, and everyone's really excited. Like Jabari Parker was talking about it earlier this week, how, he had no idea really he was coming to a school with such a strong football team, and everyone's excited to see, those guys' hard work starting to pay off.
That's right. It's pretty. So just talk about the remaining schedule, and they lost a tough one. They really could be, I guess, 9-1 right now. The tough loss to Pittsburgh. I caught the end of that one, but last week versus Miami, they just lined up and dominated Miami at the end. They didn't have to do anything special. And Miami's got a ton of athletes running around the field. It was pretty remarkable what they did last week.
Yeah, it was super impressive for them, obviously, to line up and run for over 350 yards on the ground. And they have Wake Forest coming up this Saturday, which, I think will be kind of maybe a sneaky close game just because Duke and Wake have, played each other so close for so many years, even when Duke wasn't very good. But, it's both kind of the small private school, well-coached teams. And then, if they get by Wake, then they finish the season at North Carolina. And that team is certainly playing a lot better than they were in the beginning of the season when they were 1-5, and it's a big-time rivalry game. It'll be high stakes, and it should be a lot of fun. I don't think that you look at the schedule and you count Duke out of any of those games, but I think they're going to have to play well to win both of them.
Once again, we're talking to Laura Keeley with the Raleigh News and Observer on WSPF FM Clemson, and talk about if they win the next two. I'm guessing they would clinch the Coastal, or do they have to win both of them to clinch the Coastal Division, or can they split them, or?
No, they have to beat North Carolina.
They have to beat North Carolina.
Period. And if they would lose to Wake Forest, there are some tiebreaker scenarios they would win, but they're working under the impression that they need to win out to win the Coastal.
Right. Well, I mean, they're definitely probably going to be favored in both those games, I would think. A very high possibility of going 10-2. Obviously, they're probably, they'll go and play Florida State in Charlotte if they do go on and win the Coastal. I guess looking ahead a little bit, talk about, what kind of matchup that would be. I mean, obviously we had our trouble with Florida State, so they've given a lot of people trouble in the ACC this year.
Yeah, I don't really know that there's any ACC team out there that's going to be able to compete with Florida State, quite honestly, especially, like you said, looking at what happened at Clemson. So, I would fully expect Duke to be, a 3-touchdown, at least underdog against Florida State. And, I know that they would do all they could, and, the team's pretty resilient, and I'm sure they do their best. But, no, ultimately, I don't see any football team stopping Florida State on the way to Pasadena in the national championship game.
What do you think about if Duke does go 10-2 and does lose? I mean, I would see them in maybe like the Chick-fil-A Bowl. I think that would be a big accomplishment. I mean, I know that'd be your second best ACC team in the Peach Bowl, playing an SEC team. What would you think about that? What do you think the chances are of them going to somewhere like the Peach Bowl?
I think if they go 10-2 and reach the championship game, I think it's a pretty strong bet that they would be scooped up by the guys in Atlanta and go to the Peach Bowl there. At this point, looking at the ACC bowl lineup, you have the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the Russell Athletic Bowl in Orlando, and then the Sun Bowl in El Paso. I can't see them falling any further from the Sun Bowl, and it would be a huge accomplishment if Duke could go 10-2. That they've never ever won 10 games in a year. So I think if that happens, that David Cutcliffe's a pretty strong National Coach of the Year candidate, and it's really amazing, what they've been able to do, and in this kind of short time period that he's been here.
Oh, it really is, and it started to grab some national headlines. Just listen to national radio and other, sports shows. I mean, it's really caught fire this week. But what are they going to have to with Cutcliffe if they did win all those games? I mean, you think he'd be interested in going somewhere else, maybe back to the SEC, or do you think he likes where he's at right now?
No, last year there started to be kind of some buzz about other openings having interest in Cutcliffe, and he really kind of, cast his dice at that point. He signed an extension with Duke, and he said, I'm going to finish my career here. He's in his late 50s. He's had open heart surgery. He's done the big-time SEC thing, and, he's building something here. It's taken a while. There were some painful 3-9 years in there, but he's building something now, and he's fully invested in Duke, so I would completely be shocked if he would go anywhere else.
Yeah, well, that's probably he is older, and he'll probably retire there. But we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon and giving us a little insight on the Duke Blue Devils and the unbelievable year they're having with Cutcliffe and the great quarterback play they've had. But thanks for being with us, and you're welcome back anytime.
Great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you. That's Laura Keeley of the Raleigh News and Observer.